Hello and welcome to Pink Paradox Reads. I'm Lisa, aka Pink Paradox, and I read books, I watch horror movies, and I unbox stuff that has to do with books and horror movies. In this video, I'll show you what I got in my first book haul of 2021. Let's get into it. So I have not bought a single physical book all year. I was originally going to wait until my summer vacation this year before I got any new books because I have quite a lot just waiting to be read in my shelves and my little TBR cart. I have been buying Kindle books, I have to admit, but no physical copies so far up until now. And the reason why I got to a bit of an earlier start than I had originally planned is that I have been on sick leave from my work for about a month and a half now, and it has been getting me increasingly down, I have to admit. I've been quite depressed, and I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling really down, I like to buy books because it makes me feel a little bit better, at least for a little time. So there are still a lot of new releases coming out this month and next month that I also will be getting. So the whole big vacation haul that I was planning will commence, but I did buy some other books in preparation. I did buy some other books in the meantime, and these came from various sources. And the first two I want to talk about came from Waterstones, which is a bookstore in the UK. I only recently found out that they do special editions and signed editions, and that they ship internationally, so I had to get these first two books that I want to talk about. First up is Sunrise by the Sea by Jenny Colgan, and Jenny Colgan is not the type of author that I typically talk about on this channel. She is not horror or mystery or a thriller. Her books are more modern, contemporary romance type, but she is one of the authors that I consistently buy every single book that she releases. The first book I read of hers was Where Have All the Boys Gone in 2004, and ever since then I have read every single book that Jenny Colgan has authored. So I wanted to include this in my haul, even though it is not typical for the type of books that I talk about on my channel. This is in the Beach Street Bakery series, I believe, and it is signed. There we have Jenny Colgan's signature. These books are a staple whenever I go on vacation, whether that be summer vacation or Christmas vacation, because she tends to release books that are Christmas themed, and I really love that. I know that this will be an engaging, cozy, and perhaps sometimes upsetting and sad read. Jenny Colgan's books are always worth the read. Next is my other Waterstones purchase. This is Dead Ground by M.W. Craven. M.W. Craven is one of my favorite thriller authors, and this is the fourth book in the Washington Poe series. This is a special edition for Waterstones. It has sprayed edges, and it has an exclusive short story about Washington Poe and Tilly. Imran Mahmood calls it a work of dark genius. Peter Robinson says it twists and turns like a country lane. It sounds awesome. Silence and secrets and a ceramic rat. Detective Sergeant Washington Poe is in court fighting eviction from his beloved and isolated croft when he is summoned to a backstreet brothel in Carlisle, where a man has been beaten to death with a baseball bat. Poe is confused. He hunts serial killers, and this appears to be a straightforward murder by pimp. But his attendance was requested personally by the kind of people who prefer to remain in the shadows. As Poe and the socially awkward programmer Tilly Bradshaw delve deeper into the case, they are faced with seemingly unanswerable questions. Despite being heavily vetted for a high-profile job, Why does nothing in the victim's background check out? Why was a small ornament left at the murder scene? And why did someone on the investigation team steal it? And what is the connection to a flawlessly executed bank heist 3 years earlier, a heist where nothing was taken? What I love about these books is that they are twisty and turny like a country lane. They are very engaging, but my main reason for loving these books are the characters of Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw. I am so looking forward to reading this and thrilled that there is a extra story about Tilly and Washington Poe as well. Then I got some paperbacks from Outland, which is a Norwegian chain of stores here in Norway, which sell comic books and geeky, wonderful things. And the first thing that I got was Such Pretty Things by Lisa Heathfield. This is an author that I do not know previously, but I thought it sounded really interesting. Paul Tremblay says it's a masterful modern-day gothic, and he knows what he's talking about. Following their mother's accident, Clara and Stephen are sent to stay with their aunt and uncle. It's a summer to explore the remote house, the walled garden and woods. Beyond it all, the loch sits, silent and waiting. Auntie has wanted children for so long, with hair to brush and arms to slip into clothes made just for them. All those hours washing, polishing, preparing beds and preserving fruit, and now Clara and Stephen are here like a miracle on her doorstep. But as they explore their new home, the children uncover ghosts Auntie buried long ago. As their worlds collide, Clara and Auntie struggle for control. And every day they spend there, Clara can feel unknown forces changing her brother. Haunted and bewildered, this hastily formed family begins to tear itself apart. That sounds really spooky and gothic-y. Yes, I thought this sounded like a good summertime read. More of a Halloween-y time read. Small Spaces by Katherine Arden. This is a book that I have been seeing a lot on BookTube, and the cover really spoke to me. I think this is a YA horror type tale. It comes with a recommendation from R.L. Stein up here. It says it's terrifying and fun. At night they will come for the rest of you. It's with this ominous warning that 11-year-old Ollie and her two friends, Coco and Brian, set out on a chilling adventure in the woods with nightfall fast descending and the ever-watchful eyes of scarecrows on their backs. What had begun as an unremarkable school trip to a nearby farm soon becomes a frightening journey into the world behind the mist. In order to survive and not remain trapped there forever, Ollie and her friends need to be quick on their feet as they work to unravel a 100-year-old mystery, save their classmates, and beat the villainous Smiling Man at his own game. Small Spaces is a deliciously creepy and hair-raising tale that readers won't soon forget. Something about that kind of reminds me of Stranger Things. So yeah, maybe more of a Halloween read than a summertime one, but there is room in my TBR card. Paul Tremblay is at it again with his recommendations. He says that Near the Bone by Christina Henry is a true page-turner. I really enjoyed Christina Henry's last book, The Ghost Tree. That was one of my favorite books from last year. I actually didn't know that this was already out. I thought this was going to be released sometime this fall, maybe. So I was really excited when I saw that it was available in the online store. This looks like your kind of isolated space horror story. Maddie can't remember a time before she and William lived alone on a mountain together. She must never make him upset. But when Maddie discovers the mutilated body of a fox in the woods, she realizes that they're not alone after all. There's something in the woods that wasn't there before, something that makes strange cries in the night, something with sharp teeth and claws. When three strangers appear on the mountaintop looking for the creature in the woods, Maddie knows their presence will anger William, and terrible things happen when William is angry? That sounds very interesting and spooky, and yet again, maybe not like a summertime novel on the surface, but sometimes you need those chills during the sunny days as well. Here is a book that I have talked about before on this channel, The Holo Places by Kingfisher. This was one of my top books last year. I will link to the video where I talk about this book. I listened to it on audio back then, the audiobook read by Hilary Huber, but I loved it so much that I wanted a physical copy as well. This cover is absolutely beautiful. Pray that they are hungry. Oh, I love this book. Here is one of those strange hardback sized but paperback bound books that we tend to get over here in Europe. The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. C.J. Tudor seems to be one of those authors that is highly divisive. I know a lot of people who absolutely love her books, and I know a lot of people who really, really don't like them. I think the problem a lot of people have is that, at least with her first two books, she seemed to take a lot of plot devices and stuff from a certain legendary horror author, and people weren't too keen on that. I enjoyed both of those books, as well as her third one, The Other People. I'm really interested to see where she is going with The Burning Girls. 500 years ago, 8 martyrs were burned to death. 30 years ago, 2 teenagers vanished without trace. 2 months ago, the vicar committed suicide. Welcome to Chapel Croft. For Reverend Jack Brooks and teenage daughter Flo, it's supposed to be a fresh start. New job, new home, but as Jack knows, the past isn't easily forgotten. And in a close-knit community where the residents seem as proud as they are haunted by Chapel Croft's history, Jack must tread carefully. Ancient superstitions as well as a mistrust of outsiders will be hard to overcome. Yet right away, Jack has more frightening concerns. Why is Flo plagued by visions of burning girls? Who is sending them sinister, threatening messages? And why did no one mention that the last vicar killed himself? Chapel Croft's secrets lie deep and dark as the tomb. Jack wouldn't touch it if not for Flo. Anything to protect Flo. But the past is catching up with Chapel Croft and with Jack, for old ghosts with scores to settle will never rest. And Stephen King says, if you like my stuff, you'll like this. Then we have a graphic novel. This is a new version of Hellblazer, which was a comic book that I read religiously when I was a teenager. It freaked me out to no end because it was very graphic, it was very scary, but it just fascinated me. I think this series has actually already ended. This is one of 2 trade paperbacks that has this new Hellblazer series, but I think it has already been pulled, unfortunately. But I am very interested to read this. There seems to be a crossover with Books of Magic as well, which was another series that I absolutely loved when I was a teenager. Art looks really good. The demons look really scary. Seems to be a massive amount of gore yet again. Should be fun. And lastly, just because I don't read books all about scary demons and ghosts and murders and stuff like that, this is Katie the Catsitter, which is another graphic novel. This one is middle grade. I read a lot of children's fiction, and then usually middle grade. That's my preferred kind. Katie the Catsitter is by Colleen A.F. Venable. She's the writer, and Stephanie Yu is the illustrator, and the art in this is so incredibly stinking cute. Amazing! This is about the titular Katie who wants to go to camp real bad, but her family can't afford to send her, so she starts taking odd jobs in the building where she lives. Meet Katie the Catsitter. Some heroes have capes. Katie has cats. Katie is dreading the summer ahead while her best friends will be away at camp. But when Katie gets a job cat sitting for her upstairs neighbor Madeline, things get interesting. For starters, Madeline has 217 cats, and they're not exactly regular cats. Plus, Madeline only seems to go out exactly when the Moustress, the city's most notorious villain, commits a crime. Could it be that Katie's neighbor is really a supervillain? And that it's up to Katie to wrangle a whole lot of wayward cats, save a best friendship, and crack the biggest story in the city's history? This looks like tons of fun and exactly the kind of thing I need right now when I'm feeling stressed and low and down. I think Katie the Catsitter is going to cheer me up. So those were all the books that I got in this first physical book haul of 2021. As usual, I would love to hear your opinions on any of these books if you have read them, or if there were any that were taking your fancy. Which one would you like to read? As always, I will leave Goodreads links to all the books that I mentioned in the video description, so you can check them out if you want. That's it for this video. If you enjoy bookish videos like this one, unboxings and horror movie talk, I hope you stick around and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.